So I think the first challenge is that so many companies face is that their content management technology, the infrastructure, is not adequate to meet their editorial challenges. I think when you look at a lot of companies' CMSs, they're antiquated, they're hard to use. That directly results in people not having good content, not keeping their content up to date, and to me that's lost business value. So that's the first thing. I think the challenge of mobile is really going to cause a lot of businesses to struggle in the next 5 years. There's going to be this huge proliferation of new devices and new platforms, new screen resolutions, new features and functions available on different platforms. And one of the things I hear from my clients all the time is that they're just really, really struggling with what the right strategy is. How do they make decisions about the mobile web? How do they make decisions about apps? How do they treat tablets differently from desktop web or the mobile handsets? And these problems aren't going to get any better. They're going to get worse. More and more devices are going to be proliferating. And so in order for businesses to deal with that, they really need an underlying content strategy. They need something that says, we have flexible, reusable content. We have structured it in such a way that we know we can reuse it across platforms. And then the decisions about whether to build an app or how that app should be designed are a lot easier because you already have this flexible content that you can work with. The way that businesses have to think about content and who is creating content and what the responsibilities of those people are, businesses haven't really evolved that well to manage their organizational structure around creating great digital products and services. And I say a lot, like, every business is now in the digital product design business, and a lot of them don't really realize it. And so they haven't put processes in place. They don't have an org structure. They don't have internal workflow. They don't have good decision-making processes, and they don't have good incentives to support that. And I think it's particularly painful on the content side, because now what you wind up with is dozens or hundreds of people even across the organization who are responsible for creating content. And they report to different people, they're incentivized in different ways, and there's no, cohesive organizational structure that is helping to manage and maintain that. And, when I look at it, when I see content problems or technology problems, those are really people problems. And so the challenge for businesses, I think, is to figure out how they restructure their organizations or what they do internally so that instead of, managing for an antiquated business model, they're managing to create great digital products. I really think that one of the big opportunities is to get away from thinking solely about marketing content and realizing that, oh, you know what people are saying in the comments about our products is content, or what's going on in our support forums, that's content. Or, there's just all kinds of things all kinds of places that people are talking about or can communicate about a business's products. And you might not think of that as traditional marketing content, but in fact it is even more critical to the purchase of the products than whatever you say about marketing. I think that better understanding of analytics and data around content is going to be a huge opportunity for businesses. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, you can usability test content too. And in fact, you should. You should have an understanding of not just of whether somebody can navigate your website or whether they can use a particular feature, but you need to say hey, you came to this website to answer a question. Did you get it answered? Can you answer it? Did you get the right answer? And that stuff is actually, it's not rocket science. Anybody can do it. Same thing with analytics. We don't necessarily always have great metrics in place for how to evaluate whether the content is performing. But I think the more that we talk about it and the more people come to great conferences like this one, and share case studies of how they're measuring their content or how they're evaluating their content performance, we'll develop better tools to help us use analytics to create great content. And so I think that's just going to wind up being better for our users and better for our businesses in the long run. to really have better tools and processes around how people create and manage and maintain content. And I think we have historically not put the same attention to detail into the content management infrastructure, or the content strategy workflow, as we put into design and development processes. And now I think it's time that we gave content every bit as much credibility as design and development, and we stopped treating it like a black box, and instead we put in repeatable processes. We put in a governance model so that we have ways to evaluate how well our content is performing, and we know how it's going to work over time.